Hey everybody, Jeff Murrin here. Welcome back. It's time to continue our discussion of the Iliad by Homer, specifically the Robert Fagles translation. And in this particular video, I'm going to be focusing on Book 17, titled Menelaus's Finest Hour. All right. So when we last left off in Book 16, which I think was one of the most action-packed, brutal, bloody books of this entire war, we noticed that Patroclus had gone down, and Patroclus had gone down wearing Achilles' armor. And so what we're going to find is that we're going to try to, the battle is still going on. It's not like Patroclus went down and everybody's just all of a sudden just going to let things happen however they happen, or not. They're not going to go, oh wait, Patroclus is down, let us stop battling for a moment, and you guys can get to take care of him as you see fit, and get Achilles back his armor. No, this is a battle. Everything's going to keep going on the way it's going on. And so what's going to happen is the Greeks have an issue of trying to figure out how in the world are we going to get this armor, or one, get the armor back to Achilles, two, get this body back so we can give it the proper burial that is extraordinarily important in this culture. How are we going to tell Achilles that his brother in arms has gone down in a way so that he isn't completely mortified, completely shocked, and just devastated that this has happened, especially after he encouraged Patroclus to go out there and to do it without him. Let's see. So let's just go ahead and jump in with that much background. I think that'll be good. Okay. We see at the very beginning that the battle is still surging on, and they're fighting around the fallen Patroclus, his body, and the armor of Achilles. And Menelaus is the one who's going to take the lead of this particular book here. All right, so let's just start off with page 442. It says, but Atreus' son, the fighting Menelaus, marked it all, the Trojans killing Patroclus there in the brutal carnage, and crested now in his gleaming bronze gear, Atrides plowed through the front to stand astride the body, braced like a mother cow, lowing over a calf, her firstborn, first labor pain she felt. So the red-haired captain bestrode Patroclus now, shielding his corpse with spear and round buckler, burning to kill off any man who met him face to face. But Euphorbus, that's the person who took Patroclus down, who hurled the lethal ashen spear, would not neglect his kill. Okay, so he's not just having killed him, now he's not just moving on. He wouldn't neglect his kill, Patroclus' handsome body. Halting close beside it, he taunted fighting Menelaus. Back, high and mighty Atrides, captain of armies, back from the corpse and leave the bloody gear. I was the first Trojan, first of the famous allies, to spear Patroclus down in the last rough charge. So let me seize my glory among the Trojans now, or I'll spear you too. I'll rip your own sweet life away. Because the idea is, hey, I killed this guy. I'm now going to take his armor. That's the way things worked. All right. That's what they did. That was part of the I don't want to say the glory, but the rewards of winning a battle and taking someone down is you got to take his armor as well. All right. So Menelaus responds about line 32-ish, somewhere in there. He says, I'll break your courage for you too if you try to take me on. Go back to your own rank and file, I tell you. Don't stand up against me, or you will meet your death. Even a fool learns something once it hits him. So he warned, but failed to shake Euphorbus, who shot right back. Now, high and mighty Atrides, now by heaven, you pay in blood for the brother you laid low. You glory over it too, making his wife a widow, lost in the depths of their new bridal chamber, bringing his parents cursed tears and grief. But I could stop that wretched couple's pain if only I brought your head and body armor home and laid them in Panthus' arms and lovely Phrontis' arms. We're wasting time. Our fight's unfought, untested. We'll see who stands this ground, who cuts and runs. All right. So basically, I can make things better. I can make things better if I brought them your head, Menelaus. All right. And he stabbed Menelaus's round shield full center, not battering through the brazen point bent back in the tough armor. All right, carrying on page 444. But his turn next, Menelaus rose with a bronze lance in a prayer to Father Zeus, and lunging out at Euphorbus, just dropping back, pierced the pit of his throat, leaning into it hard, his whole arm's weight in the stroke to drive it home, and the point went slicing through the tender neck. He fell with a crash, armor ringing against his ribs, his locks like the Grace's locks splashed with blood till braided tight with gold and silver clips pinched in like wasps' waists. All right, so we get the sense that absolutely, for certain, Menelaus took care of all of those threats. All right, so we're going to continue on. We have, let's see, on page 445, just that next page over, about line 91, we see Menelaus has himself a soliloquy where he's trying to figure out, speaking to himself about how are we going to do this? How are we going to proceed? We've got Patroclus down on the ground. We've got Achilles' armor. What are we to do here? All right. So about 91, he says, and back Apollo strode, a god in the wars of men, but grief bore down on Hector, packing his dark heart as he scanned the battle lines and saw the worst at once. The two men there, one stripped the gleaming armor, the other sprawled on the ground, blood still spurting warm from his slashed throat. Down the front he charged, cresting in flashing bronze, Hector loosing a savage cry and flaring on like fire, like the god of fire, the blaze that never dies. All right, so we're getting to Menelaus's soliloquy here, but what we see is Hector is looking at everything that's happened here and is just, he's just becoming mad and enraged with, Euphorbus just going down. All right. And the cry pierced Menelaus, deeply torn now as he probed his own great heart. What can I do? This is Menelaus speaking here. If I leave this splendid gear and desert Patroclus who fell here fighting, all to redeem my honor, won't any comrade curse me, seeing me break away? But if I should take on Hector and Hector's Trojans alone in single combat, trying to save my pride, won't they encircle me, one against so many? Like, I can't take them all on myself. This flashing Hector has all Troy at his back. But why debate, my friend? Why thrash things out when you fight a man against the will of the gods, a man they have sworn to honor? Then look out, a heavy wave of ruins about to overwhelm you. Surely no Achaean will curse me, seeing me now giving ground to Hector. Like, obviously it's me against them. If I gotta back off, nobody's going to blame me for doing that, since fighting Hector flanked by Almighty God. If only I knew where Ajax could be found, that man with his ringing war cry, we two together would go back to the melee, calling up our fury, even fight to the teeth of every god on high and haul the body back to Achilles somehow. If only I could find Ajax and I together, yeah, we could take everybody else on. So where is he? And if that were my option, then I could actually make some good use of my time here without backing off, okay? Things are bad, but that would be the best, he says. All right, so longing for some reinforcements, and some reinforcements of his ideal reinforcements in that case would be Ajax himself, since he's such the mighty, awesome warrior that he is. All right, so what we see here in page 448, though, is something that is extraordinarily important. All right, and I want you to pay attention to this. This is when we see Hector putting on Achilles' armor. So he gets, Hector gets the armor off of Patroclus and puts it on himself. And I want you to think about what the significance of that is. Because that armor did no favors for Patroclus. None whatsoever, because he's dead there on the battlefield. All right? But we see it here, about line 221. Hector exchanged his armor, handing his own gear to his battle-hungry troops to return to holy Troy, and don the deathless arms of Peleus' son Achilles, arms the gods of the sky once gave his loving father, and Peleus passed them on to his own son when he grew old. But the son would not grow old in his father's armor. Ooh, that sounds quite ominous, doesn't it? Now when Zeus, who arrays the clouds, saw Hector from afar, strapping on the gear of Peleus' godlike son, he shook his head and addressed his own deep heart. Okay, so now, this is significant what Zeus has to say, and I want you to pay attention to this, all right? Poor soldier, never a thought of death weighs down your spirit now, yet death is right beside you. Okay, you don't know that death is beside you, okay? Peleus wore that armor. Hector's going to wear that armor, Hector is going to wear it. Achilles, like, this armor is almost like it's cursed itself, all right? You don the deathless arms of great fighter, and all other fighters tremble before him, true, but you killed his comrade, gentle, strong, and against all rights you ripped the mortal armor off his head and shoulders. So great power for the moment I will grant you to compensate for all that is to come. All that is to come, all right? Never again will you return from battle, Hector, nor will Andromache take that famous armor, Achilles' death armor, from your hands. So he decreed, and the son of Cronus bowed his craggy dark brows. Zeus fitted the armor tightly on Hector's body, and Ares surged in his heart with awesome force, filling his limbs with power and fighting strength, and he strode amidst the illustrious Trojan armies, calling out with wild cries, now flashing before them all in the gleaming battle of great-hearted Achilles. All right? So, yeah. You've done this, and there is an accomplishment of Patroclus on the ground. And yes, you do have his armor, but it is not a good thing that you have it. All right? This is like it's cursed. This will not come and play out the way you want to. And your wife will never be the person who undresses you and removes Achilles' armor from your body. All right. So, we see Apollo provoking Aeneas and getting Aeneas into battle. Apollo really, man, he just is quite involved in this happening. Of course, Apollo absolutely 100% favors the Trojans over the Greeks, but when we have been told by Zeus that no god should have any kind of interference at all with Trojans or the Greeks, to see how involved Apollo is something I think pretty interesting. About line 378 on page 453, it says, Apollo provoked Aeneas. Aeneas, how could you and your men save Troy with the gods against you? As I've seen other men who trust to their own power and striking force, their own valor, their own troop strength, even badly outmanned, defend their country well. But Zeus is with us here, decreeing triumph for us, not for the Argives now, but you're all frightened out of your minds. You can't fight. All right, as we've seen a lot of times, whenever somebody comes to a particular soldier and says, what gives? Why are you being such a, why are you being so scared? Why are you being such a coward in all of this? Or, to dress somebody down and say, I can't believe the way you're behaving. It's wrong the way you're behaving. They're like, yeah, you're right. I better do what's right. I better improve, or I better get myself into battle. All right. And let's see. We'll see that they continue fighting over and around and all to do around Patroclus' body, page 454, about line 409. They pack behind their shields, ringing Patroclus around on all sides. So the Greek army has created a ring to sort of protect Patroclus' body. Spears jutting as Ajax ranged them all and shouted out, comrades, no one back away from the body. No heroes either bolting out of the Argive pack for single combat. Cluster around Patroclus shoulder to shoulder. Fight them at close range. At the giant's command, the earth ran red with blood, slithering dark now, and the soldiers' corpses tumbling thick and fast. Trojans and breakneck allies piled alongside Argives. How could the Argives fight without some bloody losses? It's just one massive. Okay, we don't get the details that we got where people's eyes are poked out or their spears are rammed through their teeth, but what we get is the idea of people just falling in battle, falling in battle, falling in battle here. We going all the way to page 455. Okay, what we see here is Achilles is unaware. He has no idea that Patroclus has fallen, that he's dead. Okay, it says here at 455. It says, but Achilles knew nothing yet of Patroclus' death. About line 471. Achilles never dreamed that Patroclus would storm Troy without him, not even with him. No, time and again his mother Thetis told him this was not to be. At the top of page 456, his dear friend in arms on earth lay dead. Okay, but he has no idea that that's one of the things that has happened here. There's another thing that's interesting that happens right here is we see Achilles' immortal horses. He has some horses that are immortal, and there's the commentary often that the gods are above the humans and the humans are above the animals, all right? But there is a way to consider the fact that perhaps we don't have an advantage to animals. We are aware of our death, and animals aren't. We have contemplated our death, and some people argue that the reason we have mythology or religions or things is it's us trying to fashion some way for us to deal with the reality and the knowledge and the time that we've had to consume ourselves with the fact that we are going to die. But animals aren't that way. Of course, animals will fear death when they feel challenged. However, it's not something that consumes their thoughts, all right? But we see here the immortal horses of Achilles. About line 490, let's say 4, it says, but standing clear of the fray, Achilles' horses wept. The horses themselves wept from the time they first had sensed their driver's death, brought down in the dust by man-killing Hector. Go down to the bottom, that last break of the bottom of the page of 456, and Zeus pitied them, pitied the horses. Watching their tears flow, he shook his head and addressed his own deep heart. Poor creatures, he said, why did we give you to King Peleus, a mortal doomed to death? Like, you can't handle this. He's doomed to death, and you are the horses that are having to have the knowledge and deal with this death. You immortal beast who never age or die, so you could suffer the pains of wretched men. There's nothing alive more agonized than man of all that breathe and crawl across the earth. Even Zeus realizes that man is the most agonized, it says. But Hector, at least, will never ride behind you. Going on down to the next break, and with that, he breathed fresh fire in the team. They shook the dust from their manes and galloped off, speeding the fast chariot just where the armies clashed. Automedon fought as he strode, though grieving for his friend. All right. Let's see. It's getting pretty warm out here as the sun comes out. Let's see if I can finish this up pretty quickly. Let's go to page 462 is where I want to go. We still see that the Greeks are blaming the gods for the Trojans' success in battle. All right. Let's see. This is about 705. Let's just say 705. That last break there on page 462. It says, "Lion-hearted Ajax and Menelaus were not blind." Okay, this is interesting. Remember that. They were not blind. Remember that line. They saw Zeus turn the tide toward the Trojans. Telamonian Ajax voiced frustration first. Dear God, enough! Any idiot boy could see how Father Zeus himself supports these Trojans. All their weapons land, no matter who flings them, brave fighter or bad. Zeus guides them all to the mark. Ours clatter to the ground, wasted, harmless shots. So come, alone as we, find the best way out. How do we pull the body clear, the body of Patroclus? How do we pull it clear and bring our friends some joy? They look our way in despair. They must. All hope gone. That murderous Hector's rage and invincible spear arm can be stopped. Not now. He'll hurl himself against our blackened hulls. If only an aide could speed the word to Achilles. I'm certain he has not heard the dreadful news that his dear friend lies dead. Wherever I look, no use. I cannot see the Achaean for the mission. Such swirling mist blots out the men and horses both. Apollo has put a mist over everything on the battlefield. And it's interesting that that the vision is obscured here. And listen to what goes on. O Father Zeus, draw our armies clear of the cloud. Give us a bright sky. Give us back our sight. Kill us all in the light of day at least, since killing's now your pleasure. All right. But it's funny because we began this whole section saying Lionhearted Ajax and Menelaus were not blind. They saw Zeus turn the tide. So they're blind in one way, but they're not blind in another way. The vision is obscured or it's not. It says, so he prayed, and the father, filled with pity, seeing Ajax weep, he dispelled the mist at once, drove off the cloud, and the sun came blazing forth, and the whole war swung into view. Clear, that instant, and Ajax called the lord of the war cry, Menelaus. Look hard for Antilochus now, my royal friend. If you see him still alive, brave Nestor's son, tell him to run news to great Achilles quickly. His dearest friend in arms on earth lies dead. And let me tell you this, Antilochus, not really keen to the idea of having to go tell Achilles that his friend is dead. All right, and the last thing, page 465, we will see about line 812, when they take away and pull away Patroclus's body. So he urged, and up from the earth they caught the body in their arms, hoisting it high above their heads with a great heave, and the Trojan forces crowding behind them shouted out when they saw the Argive fighters lift the corpse. They swept in like hounds that fling themselves in a wounded boar before the hunters reach him, darting for a moment, keen to rip the boar apart till he wheels at bay, ramping into the pack with all his power, and the hounds cringe and bolt and scatter left and right. And so the Trojans kept on pressing, squad on squad, stabbing away with swords, two-edged spears, till the two called Ajax wheeled against them hard, both Ajaxes here, to make a stand. They turned white. None had nerve to charge forth now and fight it out for the corpse. All right, and that's where I'm going to end this one, book 17. All right, so there we go. They have removed Patroclus's body. Hector has Achilles' armor. Achilles has no idea, but we'll find out soon that Patroclus is down, and that's it for 17. All right, so I want you to read 18, make your annotations, bring some thoughts to this, and I will give you another video with book 18 where I give you my thoughts on it. All right, so keep reading, and as always, happy reading. Thank you.